friends, Lori here. I'm back. I just want to do a quick video where I talk about the 11 fall reads that I read this year that I think would be perfect for fall. I say fall goes up until the end of the very tail end of November, early December, before we get into Christmas and holiday season. But I love a good fall read, and these are the ones that I've read this year that just have like made an impression on me that I think if you have not heard of them, that I think you should also check out because I've thoroughly enjoyed them. So there will be a mix of new releases and backlist titles, a mix of YA and adult. I think there might be a middle grade on here too. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first book I'm going to chat about is actually a review book that I got sent from the TBR and Beyond reading group. It's actually the second book in a companion series, and it is called Sense and Second Degree Murder. There will be a photo either on this side. Well, the next clip will be a photo, but let's take a peek. So this was a Sense and Sensibility retelling with like a murder element twist. I would say this is definitely more of a mystery and not a thriller, but if you, like me, do like a good Regency romance or Regency time period story, I think this one was a really fun one. It gives me definitely Regency romance vibes, but it basically follows the premise of Sense and Sensibility, but with a murdery twist. Her first one was Pride and Premeditation, which was a Pride and Prejudice retelling, which I also really enjoyed. This one, when their father is unexpectedly killed, the two sisters, one a detective and one, I think she's like a writer or a reporter or like a scientist, they have to uncover what happened to their father in this murder element story. And I really liked it. It was a quick read. I read it, or I think I read it in like the spring or maybe like right around winter, because it was like take place in like a wintry setting. I really liked it. I liked her first one. She's coming up with another one in 2023, which I think is a Mansfield Park retelling. I've never actually read Mansfield Park, so that might be a video that I have coming up in 2023. But I really liked it. If you're looking for sort of like, if you're not really into thrillers, I know people aren't into thrillers, but do like mysteries, I would really recommend this. If you like any like quick mysteries, like very like atmospheric, Regency romance with a good mystery element to it, I would pick this one up because I was really pleased by it. So the next book I'm going to chat about is definitely a Beat the Backlist title, and I've had this book one on my TBR for so long, and it is I Hunt Killers by Barry Lyga. This is the first book in it's the first book in a series, but it's not new. It came out many years ago. But I like this, and I'm so happy that I finally picked it up. This was definitely like a 4.25 star read for me. I really enjoyed it. But you basically follow this main character named Jazz. I think his name is Jazz. And it's a male-led story, which you don't get a lot of in YA. Sometimes you do, but it's very rare. And he is the son of a serial killer. So he is sort of used to sort of figure out why this serial killer is doing a killing, and it might be connected to his dad, and I think it's a trilogy. So I read book one. I am intrigued to pick up book 2 and 3. If you're a fan of Dexter, if you're a fan of like procedural shows, I think this would be great. There is a romance element. There's also there's like a found family element to the story. It really gave me Natural vibes by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which I read a couple of years ago. It's actually getting reprinted in 2023 through Little Brown, so keep an eye on that. But it really gave me that vibe because it was very much connected with the FBI, and he was sort of working with the FBI to solve a murder, which is very Natural themed, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I hope to keep going. I might try to get the audiobooks at some point, but yeah, that is my thoughts on I Hunt Killers, and let's chat about the next book. So the next book is actually a new release. It's called Dig Two Graves by Gretchen McNeil, and let's take a sneak peek at the cover. This was a book that I really went in I went in a little bit blind for the story, but I'm really happy that I read it. I actually have another arc by this author that comes out in 2023 that I might try to read soon. We'll see. But this is the classic, like, you basically meet up with a stranger and you both want to kill somebody, so you kill the other person so no one is implicated in the murder, but things go horribly wrong. That you meet this girl at summer camp and you tell her you want your best friend dead. The issue is she kills your person, and now you're left to kill her person. It is a wild, twisty ride. It's a very, very wild story, a lot of twists and turns. It was super captivating and super compelling, and I really enjoyed it. I like Gretchen McNeil's writing style quite a bit. I think I read something else by her and I can't remember the name of it, but I have the drama one on my TBR, so I hope to get to that soon as well. But yeah, I really liked it. It was very, very twisty, turny. The character was, I like the character in the story. I sometimes struggle with unlikable characters in thrillers, but this one I found was really, really interesting. More thriller than mystery, but it was action-packed, very, very twisty-turny, and I really, really enjoyed it. So the next book I'm going to chat about is a cozy mystery series. This is an adult book. This is the only cozy mystery series that I read a sequel this year that really wowed me, that I want to talk to you guys about. I picked up Two Aunties in a Wedding. It was okay. I picked up Finale Dalman Knocks Them Dead. It was okay. But Homicide and Halo, second book in the Tia Rosa mystery series, Tita Rosa Kitchen mystery series, I really loved. So here's a photo. Let's take a peek. So this is the second book in that series, and you could tell the main character is dealing with a lot of elements, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Is very much a direct sequel. You should probably read the first book. But there is a murder that happens at a beauty pageant, and you really dive into the relationship between the main character and her cousin. And it was a fun read. There really is no romantic plot at the moment in this book, and I think that's like a rarity. So I'm liking that. When I read I'm the only other cozy mystery series I really, really read that's pretty old is the Joanne Fuca series, and I'm just invested at this point. I've read 25 books. I'm invested. Probably not the best series to recommend, so it's on this list. But I have really enjoyed this series, and I think the diversity elements is really, really fun. I also said that when I read Four Aunties in a Wedding. Like, I learned a lot culturally, but this book just packed a little bit more of a punch, and it was a quick read. One that I feel like had a nice balance, sorry for this sneeze, a nice balance of like mystery, but also like developing into cultural stuff, and it was just great. I'm really excited for the third one. It's going to be set around Christmas, which I am definitely going to be picking up. But yeah, this is definitely worth it. If you're looking to keep going in a cozy mystery series and you picked up all the other ones, this is one you should definitely add on your list. So definitely check out Homicide and Halo. So the next series we are going to chat about, or book that we're going to chat about, is In Every Generation by Kendra Blake. So this is a Buffy retelling, or a Buffy spin-off series, sort of. I've had mixed luck with them. I have, in my youth, I read a lot of Buffy books, because Buffy was my favorite TV show. That was when there was a lot of tie-in novels that connected to the book, and if you read them, you got extra material. So this had all the elements I wanted. It followed Willow's daughter. Willow was a character, and it felt like a reemergence. I felt like I was reading a season of a TV show. So I really, really enjoyed it. So the premise of this is that Willow's daughter gets called to be the next Slayer, and you're like, how does Willow have a daughter? It's explained. And she develops her own Scooby Gang to save the day. And I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. I think they aged it up a bit. I think the characters, you got blasts from the past characters. Like, you got to see Oz and Willow again and Spike again. And you also just got new characters. It was great. I really, really loved it. I feel it was a generational story. And I have to check out book 2. I have it somewhere in my room. I got the ARC from ALA. So yeah, I love this. If you're a Buffy fan and you were craving more content, this might be it, because it definitely quenched all my Buffyverse vibes, but also gave me a new story that I really, really enjoyed. So the next book series we're going to chat about is an arc that I read a few months back, but it recently came out, and that is Pretty Dead Quiz by Alexa Donna. Here's the photo. I have a thing for small town mysteries set in like a small town. A lot of my adult books I read have elements like that, but this one just worked for me very, very well. And it basically follows the main character whose grandmother is like Jessica Fletcher, if Jessica Fletcher was real. So sort of like a modern day Agatha Christie. Her mom dies and she has to go live with this grandmother she's never really met, has to move to this small town, and she winds up having to solve a dual timeline murder of 2 murders of her prom queens that happened a couple of decades apart, and she has to solve them. It was a quick read. I really, really liked it. Quick. There was a likable main character in it as well, which, again, something I don't always find. But I liked it. And it gave me Nancy Drew vibes, which is one of my favorite TV shows. I should probably look up to see when Nancy Drew is coming back. But I really, really liked it. So that is why I gave it 5 stars. That is why it's on this list. If you have not checked it out yet, I would definitely add it to your fall TBR because I think it would be a perfect fall read. Not too scary. Had some thriller-ish elements, but I would classify it more as like a mystery. The next book that we are going to chat about is a graphic novel. It is called Coven by Jennifer Dugan and by Kate Salette. It's a graphic novel. They actually just announced they're doing a werewolf one, which I'm super excited about, but this one was definitely up my alley, and thank you so much, ALA, for gifting me a copy. There's not much to say about this, but it's like a witchy graphic novel with an LGBTQ plus main character. This main character is a witch, and she winds up having to move back to a small town when some drama with the coven happens, and she's dealing with a long-term relationship. There's a new guy that's coming, and she has to sort of train him with his magic. It was a quick read, a perfect early fall read, and if you're looking for something that will give you witchy vibes, I would recommend this one because it was high on my yearly TBR, and I really enjoyed it. I love the LGBTQ plus elements. I love the art style. I read your book will probably have color illustrations, but even black and white, I still really enjoyed it. And I'm really excited for this duo's next graphic novel in the year to come. The next book I am going to chat about is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I have read Adeline Grace's other series, but this is definitely more upper YA, maybe even close to new adult. It definitely gave me Sarah J. Maas vibes. Here is a stunning photo, and we are getting a sequel. The cover has been released. Go check it out. But let's talk about Belladonna. This premise I was really intrigued by, but I went in a little bit hesitant, and I'll tell you why when I tell you the summary. But basically you follow this main girl, and she cheated death. Everyone in her house is murdered, and she is the only living survivor. So she basically makes friends with death. And every person in her life that she interacts with dies, and she's always left behind. So she goes to live with a distant family. Their mother has died, and she is sort of working with death to figure out what is happening. It was a really captivating read, and I don't always fall for the death love interest or like the bad guy love interest, and that's sort of how it was portrayed, but I loved it. There was a lot of twists and turns to the story, a lot of like elements that I did not expect. It was quick, very, very steamy. So go into that knowing, I would say it's probably as steamy as Sarah J. Maas got in her YA stuff and like Thorn of Glass, but I loved it. The romance was super captivating to me, but it also had a strong mystery element. It had gothic elements, which I love a good gothic story. It was a very, very self-contained story on this hidden mansion, but you also got like other side characters. It also gave me like Secret Garden vibes. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm really excited for the sequel. So the next book on this list is Ravenfall by Kayla Josephine. This is the same author that wrote The Storm Crow and The Crow Rider, and this one was definitely another new favorite for me, and that is why it is on this list. This is a middle grade themed novel set in a mysterious inn on the edge of 2 worlds, and you follow 2 main characters, one that is a witch, but her powers, whenever she touches someone, she can sort of see a traumatic event in their life when someone dies, and the other main character is on the run from the murder of his parents and possibly his brother, and they're sort of working together to team up to solve his parents' murder. There's Irish mythology enthused in this story. It was a very, very quick read, but one that I felt like both characters really fleshed out the world. I love the setting. A couple of years ago, I read a book, Havenfall by Sarah Holland, that also had a mysterious inn. This book I loved. I thought that Kayla Josephine did a really, really good job. And I'm so excited to see where book 2 goes because we are getting that. But I really, really like this, and I gave it 5 stars. And I'm so excited she's writing more books in the series because it definitely captured my heart. Definitely a new favorite middle grade book for me for this year, for sure. And then the next book I'm going to chat about is not a shock, and that is The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the final book in the Inheritance Game series, and we have to talk about this one because I loved how this series Hey friends, sorry for the angle change. I'm actually filming this on a totally different day because my battery died and I couldn't figure out how to charge it. But I am back to finish out this video and to tell you why I love The Final Gambit. I will say this, Jennifer Lynn Barnes always writes really tightly round stories. I always say her second book is like, sometimes people read the second book and they never continue with the series because they think it is a little bit lackluster. Her stories really are meant to read quickly and back to back, but I really love the conclusion in the series. I think it did a lot of fun things. I also think it set up the potential spin-off series that we're getting following the guys. This followed Avery. I loved it. The romance was definitely what I wanted, and normally I always say this, I always fall for the wrong love interest. I was afraid that was going to be the case in this book as well, but it was not. And there was a lot of reveals at the end of Hawthorne Legacy that left you in like a little bit of like a weird spot, I thought. This book, I think, did not always fix that, but it made it make more sense. I love the cast of characters in this story. I love all the brothers. I loved Avery. I really thought it was great. I loved how it was like very, very mystery. It wasn't really a thriller. It was more of a mystery, and I like that. It had some thriller elements to the story, but it was more of a mystery. So I definitely recommend you check out The Final Gambit or the Inheritance Game series in general, and I will see you guys for my next video. Tell me in the comments what are some fall themed books you read this year, whether or not you read them in fall or out of fall, that you think would be perfect for the season, and I'll talk to you for my next video. Bye, book dragons!